and Allison, because she brought some good tips. But we're just going to talk a little bit tonight and have like an open discussion if you want to ask questions about once you recruit someone, you're all like, yay, this is great. And you recruit more than one person, but then you get to a point of like, okay, how do I lead this team? What does that look like? If you have a great leader, you might have some, and you all do, you might have some idea of like what we do with you, but how does that look like when you're starting to do it for someone else? You might have people on your team who are super needy, in constant contact with you, that are, messaging you all the time, asking questions. Or you might have people that, you kind of have to reach out to. You have to, establish that trust and establish that communication style, and everyone's communication style is going to be totally different. For me, when I recruit, and I haven't had a recruit in a hot minute, but I like to send out a little questionnaire, and right on there, it asks how they like to be contacted, whether it's through Facebook, whether it's through text, whether they like phone calls. And then I'm like, cringe, can I text you? Because I'm not huge on phone calls, but there is a point where you need to do phone calls, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Or, Zoom calls are my favorite, because then you get to see their face, you get to see like the dots connecting, if they can do Zoom with you. But basically just asking them what kind of contact they would like to have with you, and getting their idea for, okay, if they've been buying Scentsy from you a long time, you kind of know that they know how the products work. So basically you just have to explain the other side of it. But if it's someone that joins your team and they don't have a lot with Scentsy, there might be a lot more teaching that you need to do. When someone joins my team, and this is only something I've done the last 6 months because I heard someone else did it and I thought it was a great idea, but I like to send the brand new person a product training guide. So that way too, I can reference them with this, and I can say, hey, if you want to bring this to parties, this is a great if you do home parties. Or if someone's asking you questions, and just keeping this by like, I like to keep my laptop either right here on my desk or sitting next to me on the couch when I'm like working in the morning with my tea or coffee or whatever. And I like to keep this handy because, hey, you just say, if you have this here, it's going to give you a lot of ideas. Like if you don't know a lot about the, pet products, it's all right here. And then getting them acquainted with that. So that's a great way to get them started. But after that, once they're starting to have a few more questions, like, they hit that, we all know that dreaded, 3-month wall or whatever wall, when they're starting to say that they have questions, that they have, like, they're starting to not have customers, then you really have to start to coach. You really have to start to lead. So I like to do coaching calls if they're up to it. And what a coaching call for me looks like is I want them to message me, what are you working on? What do you feel like you're struggling with? What do you want to know more about? And then so that I get that ahead of time, so I kind of have an idea of where they are in place and time, and what's going on there. But when we have the coaching call, I like to take a step back and just let them talk, let them answer their questions. So I say, all right, you want to promote to lead consultant. All right. What do you need? Where are your numbers at? What do you need to do? Because you want them to know where they're at if they're having questions like that. Or if they're asking questions like, I'm not getting a lot of interest in Scentsy, you say, okay, when was the last time you posted about Scentsy on your VIP page or your homepage? Or have you tried sending out emails? Or have you tried, this, that, and the other thing? And I know most of you, Allison, have you done coaching calls with your team, so they kind of know the things that you share?
Yeah. So so what I do is I try to identify my leaders, and then I'll ask them how are they training their downline. And Wendy kind of taught us how to look at reports, and like reports don't lie, right? You can see if somebody's putting in solid PRV every month. And those are the people you want to work with, right? Like they're working their business. When you first start out, if you only have a couple recruits and they're not doing much, you're obviously going to work with them. Those are all you have, right? You want them to succeed in this business. But when you start to get a team and you've got 10, 15, 20, 30, 100 people, you're going to work with the people that are working, right? That are putting in solid PRV. And if they're really solid with sales, then that's where they need to work on the recruiting. But I always come back to sales, because if you are selling enough a month, you're getting yourself in front of that many customers to have these conversations about flipping a party or about, the joining. And that is, so it really comes down to me, always sales. I think, and here's a great analogy, when you first start and you're certified, and then, it's like you celebrate, you get your very first recruit, and then you're like, oh, I get what, 2%? Like you hardly notice you're making any money, but you have to think of it. I just watched a training Chloe did, and it was, think of it like a tomato tree. You start with a little seed and you plant that seed and you water it. And then it finally sprouts, it's a little seedling. And then like you give it sun and you feed it. It takes a long time before it grows into a tree and gives you some tomatoes. Okay. And that's the same thing with your downline. It's not going to happen overnight. So it's figuring out if you've got young downline that are just starting, then it's figuring out what they need. If they're really struggling with sales, then you're going to help them with sales and give them ideas or places they can find ideas. I always loved when I first started, Tina was amazing with me. She would always send those little cards, like she would send them on the computer, but it'd be like, you are lead for your next promotion. You need this and this. Those were good visual for me. And those are great. You can find them in the albums in the group here, in our group. And those are great to always coach your downline. Like, okay, you know what? Congratulations. You just hit lead. Okay. Next we're working on this. And so those are great. And then again, if somebody's consistently putting in sales, then it's time to have that conversation with them about getting out of their comfort zone and starting to push recruiting. And again, as a leader, it's walking the walk. You can post lots of inspirational quotes, but if you're not having the parties yourself or somehow through vendor shows or basket parties or whatever you do to work your business, we all do our business differently. If you're not pulling numbers and recruiting, it's hard to train other people if you're not doing the same, right? If your PRV is only 200 in a month, but you're training people to get high PRV, well, it's kind of hypocritical, right? So it's important that you spend the majority of your time working your own business. Like I don't want people to spend too much time on their teams. Yes, it is important. It is an important part of your business, but your first priority is your business, because that's what's going to make your paychecks. Down the road is having a team going to like definitely kick up your paychecks and grow you a nice income. Absolutely. But especially if you're just starting out, I want you to mainly concentrate on your business. And then if you've got new people starting out, have some kind of system. So Brandy and I had launched the groups that was like anyone you recruit, you can add into this recruiting group. And there was like posts start from the beginning, the first 70 days of training. So anything to kind of help you train. Something that I always do with new recruits is I always tell them when they do their very first order to get me to look at it. To either I'll sign in under their workstation for them, or if we can Zoom and I can look at it and just make sure they're catching everything. Because almost every recruit I have, if I don't, they miss the perpetual party reward, they miss bundling. That's things you just don't know starting out. And that's just great training as a leader. To teach them to be able to do those things, because you want them to have a good experience. Because in those first 3 months, if they don't have a good experience or they're really struggling, do you really think they're going to stay the long haul in this company? Absolutely not. Right. And so that's the other thing about Scentsy. When I went to Marco Island, I spoke to Kevin Kirkpatrick, who does all the a lot of stuff to do with sales for Scentsy home office. And he was saying that they did all these studies, and the recruits that end up staying with the company and becoming star directors and superstar directors almost always hit those first targets that they hit shooting star or they hit the sensational start level 1, 2, and 3. And what that shows is, I mean, obviously they have a good kick to their business, but they get a really good start to their business and build a kind of customer base right in the beginning. And again, you can hit level 3 with sensational start and still get to 4 or 5 months and be like, oh my God, like, where am I finding new customers? You know, you still have to then go from there with your business, but definitely having everyone start off strong. And that's important as a leader. So figuring out some kind of system to work with people off the hop. And to be honest, you really don't, I mean, you get some reps who need a ton, like that'll text you all the time. But I love those reps. You want to know why? Because I know where they're at, because they're bugging me all the time. It's the ones that sign up and it's like, I hear nothing. You don't know what's going on. They don't want help. And then they finally reach out and go like, oh, it was really hard. It didn't work out for me. And I think, well, I wish I had spent more time. But again, some people like help. Some people don't. All you can do is offer it. But I just think that as a leader, if you're just starting, it's about really trying to help those people. Plus, if you train your downline, you're also teaching them down the road. They'll know what to do when they recruit, right? Unless they're really early on, just starting out, and then get your sponsor to help you with training somebody. If you're brand new and you're you've got a couple new recruits right away, which is amazing, then get someone to help you if you're just starting out. But that's pretty much it as far as, you know, there's lots of different reports you can run, but when it comes down to it, the majority of them focus on sales. That's going to be your common denominator on success. Is if you're not selling, then you're probably not having conversations. And without those conversations, you know, you're not going to recruit. So,
and I can bring up that report too in my workstation and show you guys too, like what kind of reports, at least that I was trained on when I went to boot camp. And to piggyback just on what you said, Allison, at boot camp for directors. So once you hit director, you are eligible to go to boot camp, and they will tell you spend 80% of your time on your business and 20% on your team. So if you feel like you're spending too much time on your team, you are, you know, you need to make sure that, you know, you're hitting your numbers first. You know, if you're a lead, you want to make sure that you're hitting at least that 500. So that way, when the numbers come up, let's say, you know, your team is rocking it and you only have 200 PRV, and for the month, you're not getting paid on anyone below you. So you want to make sure that that is your first priority, hitting that 500, or if your goal every month is 2000 or whatever your goal may be, you want to make sure that you are hitting your numbers before, you know, it's kind of like, you know, making sure you're set before you can help other people. You know, your life vest is on before you can put someone else's life vest on for them. For my onboarding system, since I don't have a like sister director that I work with like Allison and Brandy do, I use Project Broadcast. There is a superstar director, Rachel Pence, who put together this amazing 70-day like texting thing. So I use her system and I like it because it'll text them like, here's what you should be doing today. And here, you know, da, 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 da. So that way I know they're getting it and I check it, you know, and make sure, and then they can text me back if they have questions. And it feels a lot more one-on-one than, you know, some other methods that I've tried in the past and just didn't work. Also, when if you want to look up online, and I don't know if you use this, Allison, or not, but I also do a monthly, so I know where my team is. I have a binder that says Frontline Focus. And if you look up, I mean, you can ask me about it too, or you can talk and look up Anna Hughes. She is like the queen of the Frontline Focus. But I have a tabby in here for everyone who's in my frontline and a couple girls who are not, but I know that they may be going places. And every month I write down their numbers. So I have written down here what their PRV was, what their TWV and GWV, so team wholesale volume and group wholesale volume. I have how many recruits they did, their team number, so how many people are on their team, what their title was, or, you know, was that month, or what their title is, how many active frontline they had, and then what title they were paid at, because that makes a huge difference. You know, you might have someone underneath you who was doing really great, and then all of a sudden you're noticing that she is getting paid as a certified consultant, and she was getting, before that she was rocking it as a star consultant. So then you want to reach out and be like, hey, what's going on? Why you were crushing it before. And I don't want to make you you don't want to make them feel bad. You want to be like, is everything okay? Is there anything that I can help you with? Because it might be a personal struggle. It might be, something with their business. It could be any number of things, but just keeping tabs like that. And then also being able to go back and look year over year, because when I have mine in here, I'll just show you a random number, but I have a whole year at a glance. So that way I can just flip through. I haven't found a great way to do it all online yet. So I still have been doing paper. And for me, that works. But anyway, I can show you some of the reports that we as directors look at, or at least I look at. Let me pull it up.
I was just going to add to that. Yeah, I do it on paper as well. And as soon as I get a sign up, I write down their consultant ID number. I go in to see if they have a PWS, because you'd be surprised how many people sign up and they say no to that. And then all of a sudden you get working with them and then you're like, oh God, they don't have a PWS, which makes it really hard when they're just starting out for their business. And then I sort of make sure they're part of the group. And then I sort of, start going through and watching their PRV. Are they having a launch party? Obviously you're going to get to know them, or them because they're a friend of yours. So I usually put down little information, depending on where the person lives, and just describing information about them. So I remember who they are. I remember the conversation that I had with them, and then I keep an eye on those. You're on mute, Molly.
Sorry about that. There was screaming happening from the game.
Oh.
So, and it's just a great way that if you have a bigger team number, you started getting into 100, 200 people below you, you're not going to remember every single conversation you have with someone. So by taking notes and by having, just a little bit of snippets from what you've done, then, you have a way of keeping track of these conversations. And that way, when you check back in with them, it's another great way to say, oh, hey, this is you remember, but maybe you didn't. Another thing I like to do too is checking in with my team, my frontline, through Amy. I always do. They want you to do it 3 times a month. And I feel like that's excessive. I do once a month, but I change it up every month. So if this month I check in with them on the first part of the month, then next month I'll check in with them mid-month. And then the month after that, end of the month. And these are for all the people that I only check in once a month, but then there's other people that need more help or want more from you, and I check in with them way more. But this is just so you touch everybody, so that way if they need your help, they don't feel like they have to come to you. They know they can come to you, and they is what I'm trying to say. They know they can come to you, and that you are there and you are available. Always saying that, hey, I'm available.
And do you send that out even to people on your team that have 0 PRV?
Oh yes, everybody. I send it to people who haven't sold anything in a year and they haven't been discontinued. And until they say, hey, don't send me messages, I still send them.
Okay.
And they just ignore me. And I'm like, that's sad. That sucks. But oh, well, who knows? Maybe they won't sell anything for a year and then they decide, hey, I want to start this up again. So you never know. But anyway, so I will show you, and Allison, you can tell me if you do any other reports than these, but I'm going to just show you guys. This is my workstation, and I have this tab here that I created. So if you don't have a team under you, you might not see all this, but what you can do is group shows you absolutely everybody in your group. Team, if you click on that, it will run the report and put everybody into their individual teams. So my team, and then every director underneath you. So if you have a director underneath you, they're going to be down here. And then you can pull this up and you can check everybody's, TWV, PRV, everything under the sun, how many active frontline, all that good stuff. I like this frontline by title too, because then you can check how everyone's doing based on their title, star consultant, lead consultant, certified consultant goes all the way down. And that way too, you can kind of check in and see, okay, this person has been hitting numbers and this person hasn't, maybe I should reach out to that person and see what's going on. Another thing, oh, sorry, Allison, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, show them like when you click on somebody that has a bunch of teammates and then you can hit drill to downline.
Oh, I've never done that.
Oh, it's not difficult. As soon as you click on anybody.
Okay, well, let's click on Angie.
Okay, so click on somebody that has teammates and then see the drill into downline. As soon as you do that, it's going to list everybody under them, that person. So then let's say you're coaching that person, then you can look at everyone under that and then go up to like PRV and double click on it. So it'll show you like top PRV to low. So then this is, whose team was this? Angie. So then let's say you're having a coaching call with Angie. You're going to be like, hey, are these people all under Angie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then you would like look at and you would identify which people are pulling really great PRV that Angie wants to work with. So that's if you were coaching someone that needs to coach their group.
Mm-hmm. So say, Heather, if I was going to pick you, sorry, just calling Heather out because she's on my team and she had wanted to learn a little more on this. If I were to pull Heather's name up, it's going to show up everybody under Heather.
Right.
And then I can say to her, hey, this person's kicking butt. Let's check and see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Heather's the one kicking butt on her team, but she already has an active front line. So that's awesome.
Awesome.
That's so great. So to hit her lead numbers just between her and Heather, we just need to get this to 1,000. And there you go. Adding Misty, that can help you get to that star consultant if you have the 2, and then hitting to 2,500. Sorry, losing my mind. But yeah, like being able to identify leaders by yourself and, needing some help, if like, let's say you start getting, if I like like she was saying with Angie, if Angie comes to me and be like, hey, I want to be a director, what should I do? Or I want someone to coach someone underneath me to director, then, we'd pick out those top couple people and be like, all right, what are they working on? What's going on? Because if you want to be a leader, you need to kind of know where your people, your top people are at, the people who want to work their business, the people who are striving for something. That's where you're going to be looking at these numbers. And, I don't know if any of you have these where you can check and see who is getting to sensational start, who needs to get certified. I know I look at this one a lot during incentives. I'm like, oh my gosh, how close are they? How close are they? How close are they? Shooting star, promotions. I mean, there's a lot of great reports in here that you can pull up and be able to, oh, these are new. I didn't notice these.
Yep.
The annual mentor.
They've got all that there now. So you don't have to try to figure out the report to see how many you've got to hit to certify.
When did they add this? Where was I? Was I under a rock?
They've been there. It's been there about 2-3 weeks now.
Oh my God. I look at my
Really
reports all the
great.
time. I guess I never really like scroll down looking at that side. I look at the other. Oh my word.
And then they're also changing the workstation up. They sent a thing out saying that all the side tabs are now going to be across the top.
Ooh.
That's going to be changing in the next little bit. Carrie, did they say when the change is happening?
They haven't specifically said when.
I think so.
But the article was posted on Monday.
Yeah. So that's going to be, which is great because I hate the way they're on the side like that. I would prefer them across the top. I think it'll be more user friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And you can even run reports of, one of your downline and who they have as recruits, and you can save it and it slides down on the little side there so that, and you can like name it like, Kelly's team. So you can constantly just click right on it and it comes up. So, but yeah, it is handy. And something I just want to stress to all of you is I don't want you to think the word coaching as scary, because coaching sometimes is simply checking in. Sometimes it's just simply when you're someone who has been working in this company longer than somebody under you that signed up, just to say, hey, you know what? You're doing really great. You're killing that PRV every month. And I know that you definitely are somebody that I'm watching, and that if you just start nailing the recruits, you're going to build a really great business and a great team. And that sometimes it's as simple as that. It's just reaching out and saying like, hey, I see you. And so I don't want you to always think coaching like, oh my God, how can I coach? What am I supposed to tell them for sales? That's not always on you to tell them exactly how to get their sales. It's that they have to get sales. And the workstation has like selling systems, and there's like a lot of different programs on the workstation for sales. So I don't want you to think that coaching always means you have to be the expert of everything, because that's not the case. It's just really reaching out and touching base, and letting people know that you see them and that they're doing really well. And you know, that, okay, if you now are lead and you're going to go for star, then, you know, you need to recruit this many to start hitting those numbers. And sometimes it's just explaining the compensation plan, because not everyone knows exactly, you know, a lot of people start out selling just to sell. They don't really pay a lot of attention to growing a team.
Mhm.
So,
And I want to piggyback and add on that, because this was one of the things that I really struggled with, and I feel like I still kind of struggle with sometimes, but that's what we're here for. Like, we share information. And when I went down to Allison Dalkey's house and I sat there with her and I said, you know, I'm really like afraid of coaching, and like I feel like I'm not leading my team right. And you know, I was just open and honest with her, and she's like, here's what you're thinking about it all wrong, because when you're coaching someone, you're not telling them what to do. You are not their boss. You are not, you know, you're not here to tell them how to work it or do what they want. What you're there for is to ask questions. Be like, okay, you want to hit lead. This is what we need to do. This is how are we going to get there?
yeah.
What are you willing to do to get there? Okay, well, you need to recruit. How are you going to recruit? Where are you going to go with this? Pulling the answers out of them and seeing what they're willing to do, rather than you giving them all the answers and saying, go do this. Because if I am not a part of, and I'm going to be real honest, if I'm not a part of like the plan of how I'm going to do something, if someone tells me what to do, I'm usually kind of a bitch about it. I'm like, no, that's not the way I want to do it. Then, you know, and then not in a mean way, but just like I get a little obstinate, and I get a little like, I don't want to be told what to
At
do.
the end of the day, it's your business, and you got to figure it. You've got to have the momentum and the why and the purpose to every day get up and work that business,
Exactly.
however it
Exactly.
looks, to hit those targets. And, you know, I think as any leader, I think we all just wish that when people start, they have the confidence that if they could see 5 years down the road and see that they're pulling in an extra $1,000 a month on their team just for working their business right now and hitting the targets that they need to hit as far as recruiting every month. If they could see what that feels like, and to see that that's going to happen, there would be so much better with motivation. But I think that's the real struggle, is people start and they, you know, there's that fear of failure, and just, you know, they can't see it, right? They can't see the forest from the trees. And a lot of times we we give up before we ever, you know, get going, because it's hard. Like, and that's a struggle I find with some of my younger recruits that are like in their early 20s, is they think it's magic, right? That you're going to sign up and open a group and people are just going to flock to you and flood you with orders. And unfortunately, that's not how this business goes. And that you really need to hustle and find ways that you're going to find your customers, and you're going to sell, and you're going to have parties. And it is a struggle, but like anything, any great struggle, then you will come out with this great victory. You're going to get through this. And it's through trials and tribulations that there's going to be times where you're like, oh my God, I tried this and it really sucked, and I didn't yield good PRV. And so then it's not income producing. So now I'm going to try it this way. Right. And that's the great thing about any athlete or any, you know, a real big achiever. It isn't that they just were amazing or magic. It was that every time they tried something and they failed, they didn't give up. They just was like, I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to try again, and I'm going to keep trying until I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
better
really
to try and fail than to fail at even trying.
You got it.
You know, because that's it right there, sis. Dang.
And COVID has been tough. Like I talked to a couple other leaders, and I said, it's almost like the Great Reset. You know, it was like COVID hit, and mentally it was so draining on everyone. And there was just, you know, so much change that it's like some people that were doing really well did fall off in numbers, or some of their team, and that's okay. And that now it's like, okay, finally we're starting to live again. Definitely in Canada, it's been like a little slow going, that everything's opened back up. So now it's like, guess what? We're all starting again. We're all starting to rebuild our businesses and go from here. And that's okay. That's okay. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That's just, yeah. And we can tell you, 5 different ways to do it, but it might be different from the way you like to lead, I mean, my sponsor has a very different way of leading than I like to lead. So, it's taking what you like and finding different avenues, finding different other ways, I mean, like Allison said, with coaching, just reaching out. Like when I do my thinking email. When I do my Amy for my team, I always put in there a space and it says, congrats on having, it says blank and then PRV last month. And I added in if they were over 200, if they didn't do anything, then I just delete that part because I want to acknowledge those people like, hey, you were active. Hey, you had 500 PRV and you were paid at title. Hey, you were this, and having that prompt there. So I go back and I look at everybody. A, that's keeping me knowing where they're at, and B, it's letting them know I see them. I mean, you want to be seen, you want to be congratulated. I send out a postcard for my top 10 PRV every month and they love it, but I don't send out something for everybody because that would be a lot of mail, and let's be real, postage ain't cheap. But even just a little text saying, hey, I saw that you did 200 PRV last month, and that's awesome. I mean, you might normally hit 500 and you might not be happy with that, but hey, you were active. Just letting them know. A lot of people love recognition. I love recognition. I love being recognized.
Who doesn't, right?
I know.
Who doesn't like somebody saying, wow, like you did really great.
I know, right? Like, especially like for Allison and I, this is our full-time job. So if we don't get recognized by the people above us, we don't get recognized really at all, except for maybe by Scentsy, for annual sales or, at the end of the month. But otherwise, it's just us on our own. And you guys know how it is too when you're doing Scentsy. If we don't say anything, then you're just plugging along every day. There's not a lot of recognition. I like to recognize people because I love that warm, fuzzy feeling, not just like from hearing it, but like getting excited for them and showing them like, you did really, really well. Enjoy that extra $100 this month. Enjoy that extra, $1,000, whatever the case may be. It's so great to just have that little,
that work is paying off.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun because a lot of you, this is your secondary, this is your fun job. So why not make it even more fun?
It should be fun. And if it's not fun anymore, then you need to reevaluate your business and figure out what is stressing you, get rid of it and find a way to do it that is going to be fun for you and that you're going to enjoy it, because there are, and again, I don't want to say everything. I mean, there's obviously things in my business that are income producing that I don't love to do, but I do them because they yield, like they help me with my pay. But, there's different ways to work your business. The one thing I do say, which is definitely a common denominator, is going live. And I know nobody likes to go live, but we are in the people business and communication and relationships, and people are curious by nature, and to show a product and to get on live and talk, I will sell 10 times as much as posting a picture. People just want to see you and get to know you. You know what I mean? Haley was just saying here that when she was getting closer and closer to annual sales, she messaged me and I was super excited for her. Like that's the first time she's hit that. And that's a huge thing to sell that much in a year. So yeah, Haley Brown hit it this year. Congratulations, Haley. And that's like so huge, so huge. And so like last year I hit annual mentor. That was huge for me. I'd never hit that, to get 14 certified in a year. I'm not going to hit it this year. I've only got 10, but it's like, those are big milestones that you want to celebrate. But again, you still want to make this business should be fun. Like you should still enjoy it and like what you're doing. Again, obviously there's struggles in any business, but yeah, you want it to be fun and enjoy what you're doing for sure. For sure. And I still think personal development is huge in this business. Not working on personal development for our business, but also ourselves. And I know a lot of people work a full-time job and they're doing Scentsy. And so if you're like struggling with parties or sales, then find ideas by getting on YouTube. YouTube has so many videos of everything and anything from so many consultants who have been doing this business for 10 plus years. And so you know, finding, if you're in the shower, listen to the YouTube, or in the car, you know, whatever you can do to fit it in. But that's where you're going to get those ideas that are going to, you know, recharge you and invigorate you to figure out different ways to work your business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Does anybody have any questions? We kind of blew through it really fun, like really fast. It's kind of like a quick topic though, you know, I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot because it's basically just teach a man to fish.
Yay, I'm glad Haley said this definitely pumped me up. And Nancy Delaney was saying that she's going to start doing lives and that she's focusing on growing. So Nancy just only signed up in the last 2 months, Nancy now. And so she's just starting to build the customer base. And it's funny because you really see, you know, I get quite a few consultants that sign up across Canada that I don't know personally, and they sign up and everyone does it differently. You know, I've got one girl that's just killing it on my team, and she is like a master at Instagram. And like, I mean, I post the odd on Instagram, but she's doing videos and interactive, and she's getting all these customers she doesn't even know. And like, there's just so many different ways to work your business. Or somebody doing vendor shows, you know, Haley loves vendor shows. She kills it with those. And so, you know, there's just, again, so many different ways that, but I do think that soon, I'm excited, you know, I never did a lot of home parties. I did do home parties, but I wouldn't say I did a ton. But after COVID, I'm kind of looking forward to doing some like, hey, let's get together with the girls and everyone can have some wine and like, I'll show you all the Scentsy. I'm kind of looking forward to that, just to be social, because we've been like locked up for so long, you know? So
even just get together with people and like put the coffee on, you know, or like meet at a coffee shop and bring your testers and be like, hey,
let's check them out.
Some Scentsy.
For sure. For sure.
For sure.
So
yes, I can't wait for SFR either, Haley. Oh my God, I'm so excited for SFR. I'm ready. Let's do this. I'm booked. I'm ready to go. I'm so ready.
That'll pump you up for sure.
We need it.
Yeah.
We need it. But okay, well then I guess we're done a little early tonight, unless anybody else has any other questions, anything they want to bring up. No. All right. Well, thanks for coming again, guys. We're not sure what next week's topic is, but we will be here.
Sure yet. Yeah. And I just wanted to ask one more thing. Who's pumped for Star Wars? Anyone excited about that? Star Wars stuff coming?
My tattoo, Star Wars. Let's do this.
Oh, cute.
My hubby's really excited.
Millennium Falcon. Let's do this.
I had a lot of people with the Grogu that was like, and the Mandalorian. I haven't really had much yet with the other two buddies, but like my local customers.
How did everyone?
My hubby's begging for him.
You what?
Oh,
Rebecca?
I was just saying my hubby's begging for the buddies. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Molly. Sorry.
No, I was just going to ask how everybody did with the Little Mermaid too.
Yeah, I had a couple good orders for those warmers. So that was nice because those were, you know, expensive warmers. So yeah, that helped.
It's funny. I had somebody message me saying, I think I heard this. If that happens, you're getting business from me. Awesome. Cool. It's happening. Then she backed out when it dropped.
Oh, that's
I'm like, you messaged me.
Well, the LTOs are great. They're great for boosting. And I'll be honest, this month is slow compared to last month, but how can you compare with last month when we had the flash sale and then we had the Enliven Your Senses bundles? You can't compare, right? We're going to have a slower month per se, because a lot of my customers stocked up, right? But I think that's what's so great about them hammering us with LTOs this month, is to sort of, you know, even things out.
Balance it out, yeah. Especially for those who are still trying to hit ASA.
Yeah.
This is the final push, the final countdown.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
And that's 30,000 PRV.
Correct.
In a month. In a
month. Damn. Are you Lisa Roberry?
Sorry, yeah, no. And that's from, so how we run is, it's a fiscal year, right? They kind of run
May 1st to April 30th.
Yeah.
And same thing for ASA, which I have never hit, or not ASA, Annual Mentor, which I've never hit. So congratulations.
It's a tough one.
It is.
Absolutely. Because you can recruit, but not everyone gets their first 1,000 in, right? Some
Mhm.
struggle in that. So yeah, it's I work on that every year. And this year, unfortunately, I'm falling a little short, but I think I have 11 now actually, but yeah, I'm going to be short 3, but it is cool. It is cool to get it because that's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
Mhm. So anyway.
All right, everybody.
All right.
See you next week.
Okay.
Have a good
Good
night.
night.